Okay, I'm just going to continue where we left off. Okay, so we did these and we did the cross method in the first video. Okay, now we're getting to two terms and then four terms. Okay, so last year you probably learned, I'm just going to show you the quick way, but I'll show you that my method works for these as well. So last year you're probably taught if you have two terms that you could square root and a negative in between, it's called a difference of squares. So essentially what you would do is square root each one. So if you square root an x squared, you get an x. So you put an x in each bracket. And if you square root 100, you get 10 and 10. And then what you do is you put a plus minus. Okay, so that's one of the probably 3 or 4 methods that you learned last year. But just to show you that the method I just taught you works for this as well. So I had a student ask me yesterday, he said, well, this doesn't have a middle term. And they're actually absolutely right. So what happens is we could do this. Our middle term is actually 0x. Okay, so you don't have to write it. So it's 0x. Okay, so it doesn't mean anything. So what I could do is I could break down the first term, so x and x, break down 100, which is 10 and 10. Okay, but I have to get to a negative 100, so I'm going to make one of them negative. So I cross multiply, I get a negative 10x and a positive 10x, which gives me 0x. Okay, so this method still works. The cross method still works for this one. So you end up getting x minus 10 and x plus 10. Okay, I know this one's quicker. If you are comfortable with that one, that is fine. But just to keep everything consistent, I would use this one. Okay, going on to the now. So again, so we have no middle term, so we're going to add it in. So 0n. Okay, so if we break down 16n squared, we get 4n and 4n. Break down 25 into 5 and 5. Since it's being negative 25, one has to be negative. So we cross multiply, you get negative 20n and positive 20n, which gives you 0n, which matches the middle number. So our two brackets are 4n minus 5 and 4n plus 5. Okay. Just a reminder, I forgot to do the first step. The first step is always to find a common factor. The last two did not, so there was no common factor. All right, next one. Okay, so when you had this one last year, your teacher probably told you to group. So they said group these, but I'm going to show you how my method works. So you're going to group them, and then you could do a common factor of both. So this, what's common is an x squared, so you would remove an x squared, then you'd be left with x plus 1. And then from here, there isn't anything common except for 1, so you remove a 1. And then you bring these together and so on, okay? But I'm going to show you that the method, the cross method, works as well. I'm just actually going to bring it down here so I have more room. Okay, so x cubed plus x squared plus x plus 1. Okay, so what I'm going to do is break down the first term. So x cubed breaks down into x squared and x. And 1 breaks down into 1 and 1. If I cross it, I get x and I get x squared. If you add them together, if I add them together, they're not like terms, so you can't actually add it, but you get x squared plus x, which is the same as these two middle values. So you have your first bracket and second bracket. So you get x squared plus 1 and x plus 1. And that's your final answer. Okay, now we're going to do the same up here. Next one. I notice here that they're all, if you look, they're all even numbers. So that means they get divided by at least 2. That would be the highest number. So I'm going to factor out a 2 first. So we get m cubed plus 4m cubed plus 12m squared plus 3m plus 9. Okay, so we're still going to use the cross method. So we're going to break down the first term, break down the last term. Okay, and this trial and error, so I don't know what the answer is. So 2m squared, let's try. No, that's not going to work. We're going to do 4 and 1. So 4m squared times m. And we're going to break down our 9 into, let's say, 3 and 3. If you cross it, you get 3m and 12m. 12m squared, sorry. Add them together, you get 12m squared plus 3m, which is the exact same thing as the middle. So this is our first bracket. This is our second bracket. 4m squared plus 3 and m plus 3. And don't forget, carry down your first term. Sorry, your first factor. So again, break down the first term. So m cubed breaks down into m squared and m. 4, you could do 2 and 2, but if you did it, you would have got 6 and 6. Won't match this. So I broke it down to 4 and 1. 4m squared times 3 is 12m squared. M times 3 is 3m. Add them together, it's 12m squared plus 3m, which is the same as the middle values. Okay, so those are our two brackets. All right, last one. Okay, this one is a little bit different because we have two separate letters. So we have an X here, and then we have the Z. So what we have to do is we're gonna group the first three together. Since this negative 9z squared doesn't fit, okay, it doesn't follow because this has the x squared, it has the x, and then it has the number. And this is kind of an oddball. Okay, so what we're gonna do is work with this first three terms. Okay, so we're gonna factor it. So break down the first term, x and x, then 4 and 4, but we have to get to a negative 8. So this should be negative 4 and negative 4. Since negative 4 times negative 4 is 16, and negative 4 plus a negative 4 is negative 8. So if you cross multiply these, you get negative 4x and negative 4x, which is, negative 8x, so it matches. So we have x minus 4, x minus 4, and then we have a negative 9z squared. Okay, so we're not finished there. So what we have now is x minus 4 squared minus 9z squared. Okay, so we have a square, a subtraction, and a square. So it's kind of like the ones we just here. So this is a squared, and this is 25 squared. And kind of like this. So we have a number, subtract, and a number. Then we had a term, subtract another term. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing here. So the middle term here is just 0. It's 0. So we're gonna break down the first term. The first term is x minus 4 and x minus 4. The second term, we're gonna break down into 3z and 3z. But it has to be a negative. So just like we up here, we broke it down to 4n, 4n, 5 and 5. So we're doing the same thing. X minus 4 squared is x minus 4 and x minus 4. The 9 breaks down to 3 and 3. The z squared as z and z. If you cross multiply these, you get negative 3z x minus 4 and positive 3z x minus 4. Which equals 0 because these cross off. Okay, so our brackets are these. So this is our first bracket. This is our second bracket. So x minus 4 minus 3z and x minus 4 again minus 3z. Plus. This one's plus. Okay, that's one's a tricky one. Takes multiple steps. So x minus 4 minus 3z, and then x minus 4 plus 3z. You could put them in order. So if you wanted to, it could be x minus 3z minus 4, so letters, alphabetical order, and then x plus 3z minus 4, but it doesn't matter. Okay, just realized I need to get homework. Okay, so we're adding to the other one. So I'm just going to tell you what all the questions are. For some reason, I got cut off on this sheet of paper. So the full homework, including yesterday's, is page 102, number 1 to 3, 4 to 7. But for these three, sorry, for 4, 5, 6, 7, you're just doing A, C, and E. And 9 and 11. Okay, so page 102, 1 to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But for those, you're doing A, C, and E. And then 9, 11. 9 and 11.